What if I told you that the reason your health and wellness product isn't selling isn't because of your product, but because people aren't reading your website? According to a research study published by The Guardian, only 16% of users actually read your website word for word. The other 84% just skim quickly through it. That means that even if you have the best product in your category, if your site isn't optimized for skimmers, you'll miss out on most of your conversion potential. I've written dozens of web pages for health brands, and there are 6 conversion hotspots that capture almost all of your audience's attention when they're skimming your website. And here's the thing, if you miss even one of these, you could be losing many of your potential conversions without even realizing it. They're equally important, but they all have different jobs and they have to work together. So let's start with the first conversion hotspot that decides whether a visitor even bothers to read a single word of your page. So last month, I was reviewing a website for a supplement brand, and my client was frustrated because their traffic was decent, but conversions were not great. Their headline read, "All natural supplements for optimal wellness and better living." I asked the founder, "What's the number one benefit of your product?" He said, "Better sleep." And that's exactly the first thing a visitor should see when they land on your page. And that's a problem with a lot of health brands' websites. People make a split-second decision based on your headline alone to stay or leave. But a headline like that doesn't tell a visitor what they get with your product. So here's what we did. We brought the core problem they solve into the headline. So instead of all natural supplements for optimal wellness and better living, we changed it to tired of sleepless nights. That way, when someone lands on the page looking for something to help them sleep better, they'll instantly see that this is a product that can help. So conversion hotspot number 1 is headlines, and they're responsible for getting your users' attention. Optimizing your headlines can significantly reduce your bounce rate and increase conversions. Now that your headline has got them hooked, you still have just a few seconds before visitors decide whether to stay or leave. And this is where conversion hotspots 2 to 4 become really critical. Have you ever come to a website looking for specific information but just couldn't find it? Health brands often waste the prime spots on their website by focusing the most important copy on the page on features or simply explaining what a section is about, instead of on the value they provide and outcomes they help users achieve. And this is exactly why the 84% of people who just skim your page don't really understand how you can help them. They're trying to quickly locate the information that matters to them, but the lack of anchor points forces them into inefficient scanning patterns. This is a massive missed opportunity to communicate your value propositions. Here's the solution. Make your crossheads, or the other headlines on your page, work like a GPS for your copy. A study by the Nielsen-Norman Group identified the best way to structure a website is like a cake. So they call it the layer cake scanning pattern. Visitors scan your headings and subheadings like they're checking out the layers of a cake. They want to get a preview of what's in each section before deciding which parts are actually worth their time. So creating a visual hierarchy with your cross headlines is by far the most effective way to structure your website so that users can quickly understand what your product does without having to read every word of your body copy. And this copy directly impacts user engagement and conversion rates. Think about it. When someone sees AI health chatbot, they have no idea what that actually means for them. But on the other hand, when they see get your health questions answered in seconds by our medically verified chatbot, there's instant clarity about what they're getting. Here are 3 ways you can apply it to your own health website. First, use important keywords, action words, and your stickiest copy right at the beginning of the sentence. Users scan from left to right, so the first words get the most attention. For instance, use fall asleep faster tonight versus how our technology helps you sleep. Second, lead with outcomes and benefits rather than features or product capabilities. For instance, make confident care decisions with data you can trust versus the new model for maternal care delivery. And third, make your cross headlines stand out with a big, bold font. That way, you can create a clear visual path that guides skimmers in a natural way from section to section. So conversion hotspot number 2 is crossheads, and they help skimmers navigate your website content. Now let's look at the 2 conversion hotspots that will help your reader understand why your solution is the best for them. Have you ever read a website and found yourself just skimming down the left side of the page without taking in any of the actual information? This is called F-pattern scanning, and it happens on all web pages. People read the first line or 2 completely, then read less and less of each following line. You've got 3 to 4 words to make an impact. Otherwise, users are far less likely to read the rest of the sentence. But many websites I see miss out on this opportunity. They start sentences like, "Our tracking technology monitors all essential biomarkers that impact your sleep." The problem is that people's eyes have already glazed over and they won't read the rest of the sentence or paragraph, so they won't get to the part where you talk about what's actually interesting for them. So instead of fighting against how people naturally scan, work with it. Put the most compelling part of the sentence in the beginning, within the first few words, where F-pattern scanners are actually looking. For example, feel more rested by improving these key biomarkers. This works for everything: your website copy, emails, even social media posts. So now you know that conversion hotspot number 3 is the beginning of the sentence. One way to make people actually read your website is by placing the most important and stickiest language at the beginning of the sentence. But you shouldn't overuse this method because you don't want every sentence to sound like a punchline. So let's look at the next conversion hotspot that goes hand in hand with F-pattern scanning, except this time we're not working with the F-pattern, we're going to be completely breaking it. So I recently did a website audit for a nutrition coach, and she had a well-written page about her program. It checked a lot of boxes and it felt persuasive. But when I asked her about sales, she said she's getting traffic to the page, but no one is booking a call. As soon as I looked at her page, I saw the number 1 problem immediately. It was essentially a wall of text. There was nothing to guide the eyes, so it was really difficult to read. So when we think about those website skimmers, those eyes are scanning through either in the F-shaped pattern through your page, or they're hunting around for visual anchors, something that stands out and grabs their focus. That's why, based on their research of how people consume website content, the Nielsen-Norman Group recommends bolding certain parts of the body copy to draw attention to what's most important, so people can easily digest and remember the information. So let's have a look at how this effect works. Take a look at this paragraph. Our comprehensive wellness program includes weekly one-on-one coaching sessions, optimized meal plans based on your dietary preferences and restrictions, access to our private community forum, 24/7 email support, and detailed progress tracking with monthly assessments to ensure you stay on track towards your health goals. Whew. Now watch what happens when we bold the key benefits. Here you see it stands out. Now you can instantly spot the most important parts without reading the entire paragraph. This works because skimmers' eyes jump straight to the bolded text, so they understand the most important part of what you're communicating at a glance. So here's how to apply this to your own website. Go through your body text right now and bold the key benefits, outcomes, or other important information you don't want people to miss. So conversion hotspot number 4 is visual anchors. So far, we've covered how to capture attention with headlines, how to stop the scroll with crossheads, how to leverage F-pattern scanning, and how to use visual anchors. At this point, skimmers understand what you offer and how it benefits them. But there's still a big barrier between getting the conversion. People are thinking, this sounds good, but does it actually work? That's where the next conversion hotspot comes in. Buyers today are more skeptical than ever, and the health market is also more crowded than ever before. When people come to your site, they want to know if you're the one to help them. And to figure that out, they're looking for solid proof. So while your cross headlines help skimmers navigate the page, testimonials get scanned differently than regular content sections because they have different psychological triggers. So your testimonial cross headlines become critical credibility anchors during scanning. People are looking for specific, relatable outcomes that prove that your solution could work for them too. So like with normal cross headlines, people look first at the header and then decide if they're going to read the section below it. So if your headline captures their attention, there's a higher chance that they'll take the time to read your testimonials. But here's where most health websites and all websites go wrong. They waste this important space with copy like this: what our clients say, success stories, customer testimonials, reviews. These generic headers don't give a preview into any actual transformation or outcome. Since most visitors are skimming, they won't read through entire testimonials to see how your product helps someone, and they may just skip this section entirely, so you miss a key opportunity to build trust. Instead of using these generic headers, what I love to do is pull out a key part of the testimonial and use that as the cross headline to ensure that people read it. You can see here how I did it for my client Bloom Life. I introduced the testimonial section with a key quote from one of the users. And as you can see, I also bolded bits of the testimonial to call people's attention to these key benefits. Here are 5 other strategies for testimonial crossheads that you can use to increase engagement. First, use specific outcomes. For instance, Sarah got her first full night of sleep in years. Second, use powerful emotional quotes, like, I finally feel like myself again. Third, use problem to solution journeys. For instance, from 20 failed meditation apps to finally building a habit. Fourth, use surprising or unexpected results, like lost weight while eating more food. 5, use relatable identity markers, like busy mom of 3 transforms her health. These approaches work because they give skimmers exactly what they're looking for, proof that the product helped someone like them. So now you know that conversion hotspot 5 is testimonial crossheads. And now your skimmers are thinking, this looks good, I understand the benefits, and I see others succeeded with this product. The final step is removing every barrier to taking action. No matter how good your messaging is, your CTA still has to convince them to click. So I'm going to share the 3 biggest CTA mistakes that health and wellness brands are making. Let's start with the first one. Oftentimes I see brands that treat their website like an IKEA store where you have to walk through the entire store until you finally get to the checkout. Unfortunately, we know now that basically no one is reading your website section by section. And unlike in an IKEA, your visitors could leave at any time. So what you should do instead is give people the option to check out at any time, because people are ready to convert at different points. And they should never have to hunt around or scroll a lot to find the CTA they're looking for. In practice, that means that you should have a CTA after every key decision moment: testimonials, benefits, objection handling, etc. At least after every 3rd section. So CTA mistake number 1 is simply not having enough. But just placing buttons throughout your page won't do the trick. Especially for those 84% of people who are skimming, they'll have multiple micro moments of interest throughout the page, and each moment requires a different approach. But most sites make a critical mistake with their CTA copy. They put the same generic button like Get Started or Learn More everywhere. This ignores the visitor's mindset at each specific moment. After testimonials, they're thinking, this could work for me, but your CTA doesn't acknowledge that. After pricing, they're ready to make a decision, but this generic CTA doesn't create urgency. Instead, match your CTA copy to the visitor's mindset at each section. So after testimonials, you could do something like, join 100,000 others sleeping through the night, which builds on the social proof. After benefits, you could do something like, sleep better tonight, outcome focused. And after pricing, you could have a CTA like, lock in this price now, urgency based. And finally, after objection handling, you could do something like, try it risk-free, leaning into risk reversal. Also, your CTA should evolve as visitors move down the page, just like their awareness of your product does. So early CTAs could be more curiosity driven, like see how this works, and leading them to a product page. Mid-page CTAs could be more benefit-driven, like get your custom plan. And as they come to the end of the page, the final CTAs become more action-driven, like start today or add to cart. So mistake number 2 is using the same CTA throughout the whole page. But even with perfect CTA placement and button copy, visitors still hesitate before clicking. And a lot of CTAs don't address visitor concerns because there's a gap between this looks good and I'm ready to move forward. This gap exists because visitors worry about spam, hidden costs, or being pressured after clicking, among other things. They're unsure what actually happens next, and most CTAs don't address these concerns. This friction makes visitors chicken out at the last moment. So the solution is adding doubt removers directly under your CTAs to address these concerns and make people feel more comfortable clicking that button. For example, time concerns. So under your CTA, you could have only takes 30 seconds, download starts immediately, get instant access. You'll also want to remove any financial risk. So under your button, you could have copy like no credit card required, try for 30 days, full refund if not satisfied, cancel anytime. Or you might want to just clarify what happens next. For instance, just enter your email, that's it. No phone calls or sales pitches, instant download, no account needed. These work because they're specific and address real anxieties around time, money, and hassle. Placing them right under your CTA gives visitors that final confidence boost they need to take action. So now you know that conversion hotspot number 6 is CTA buttons, and you know how to optimize them. I know this video was a lot of information to process, so if you want a cheat sheet with all of the conversion hotspots and an easy explanation how to optimize them, just click below and download it for free.